lovely porcupines, welcome. And if you've been here, if you are a porcupine family member already subscribed, welcome back to another episode of Functional Family Dynamics. Now, this is the day that the Lord has made for us to be glad and to rejoice in. Sometimes that joy, that peace, and all that gladness can feel so distant. And today, this morning, I got a reminder that gratitude is one of the ways you can lay hold of that joy and all of that God has for you. And I was like, okay, how does that really work? As if I have never done gratitude, okay? And I remember the song that says, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings and see what God has done. And in remembering that, in doing the reflection for this week to say, what has happened this week? Like, I got to understand and I got to remember how much I was able to overcome this week and remember so many good things that happened this week that I should be grateful for, and that made me quickly lay hold of my joy, because in a matter of seconds, without even knowing, I was feeling confident now. I was happier now. My mood was lifted now. I was able to get out of the bed and say, no, I'm going to do this video. And I was just like, we're doing this. That reminded me, doing the gratitude reminded me the capacity that I have and that I can really do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now that is a powerful intro. Okay, guys, in today's video, I want to talk about what distorted your shifting perspective. In all honesty, what hijacks how we see the world, how we interact with people, is our belief systems. What we believe ultimately determines if we are going to pursue relationships, friendships, even relationship within the family. How are we going to approach it? Are we going to operate from a place of fear? Are we going to operate from a place of pride? Are we going to operate from those various places that end up not giving us the closeness and connection that we so desire? And to find out what caused us to even move that way is to go back and dig what happened to you. What happened to you that caused you to think that relationships are not worth it, or to move into a relationship bracing yourself with all of the walls and all these other coping mechanisms that we have? Okay. Whew. Why do we always have to go into my business? Oh, okay. We will overcome by the word of our testimony. It's about to get spicy, so I'm just gonna pour myself my drink so that I can clear my throat from time to time, because I ain't trying to be emotional in this video, okay? And as I do that, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and become a member of the Functional Family Dynamics. Become a lovely porcupine, because why not? And in today, I am having this Finch Leeds Pink Tonic. I don't know what this is, but for sure it's not alcohol. Let's start there, okay? It is not alcohol, but it is some drink that I am trying out on today in this video. Guys, did I introduce myself? If you are new here, my name is Piwa Dlamini. I share content on faith, functional family dynamics. Ooh. Let us get into the intertoss of the day. Okay, guys, so I'm going to share my own testimony to make things a bit simpler. I feel like this is one of the ways, the tools to kind of help you ask yourself the right question. So, what hijacked my belief system? What distorted my shifting perspective? I have shared this story before on the channel that when I was younger, I was fostered. I think I've had maybe up to three foster families in my entire life. So when I was younger, I was staying with my dad, and he had just moved to SA. Maybe kind of like 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. Okay, maybe like 6 years into SA, he came back to Swaziland to get me, and I came to stay with my dad in South Africa. So when I was staying with my dad at the time, he was running a transport business for school kids, and he was a pastor, still is a pastor. And me staying with him was the third responsibility he had upon the two that was already like really a lot on his plate, because he was in the church, he was literally kind of like doing everything just to show up as a church at the church as a pastor and to the community was a whole lot. I remember some of the responsibilities that he had was he trained his own worship team. I was there at all of the rehearsals. He would have revivals every now and then, and he would be pitching those tents almost every second weekend of the month, and it was just an ongoing thing. And there was these meetings, in the Alliance Church there's the committees and stuff, so there's always like meetings, and a lot was going on, and the transport business as well. And my father, in all, I admire that man. He had the wisdom to say that this is a lot, and there is no, it is not powerful. It is not a power move to show up, do and do and do and do while you are draining yourself out, being burnt out, and leaving your cup empty. So he understood, and he exercised the power of vulnerability to go and really ask for help, to say, you know what, please watch my kid. I will support her from here. I will come and see her from time to time. Whew! I rebuke the thought that is saying, I am trying to paint my dad in a bad picture. My father is not a bad person. My dad is a wonderful man. In fact, that guy is my superhero. In fact, that guy is Superman to me. Okay, period. So, in doing that, having stayed with my dad and having this bond, like this tight, close, hey, nothing can break us type of a bond. Now, having to go and stay with another family and not be with him all the time. Remember, my love language being quality time. Now I have to stay with. And another thought, I rebuke this thought that says I'm trying to say that my foster parents were not good people. My foster parents, all three of them, were amazing people. I have never felt any type of bias while I was staying with them, that I am not their real child or anything like that. But it was just that biological genetic thing to say, my dad and I, it's us against the world, and now I just have to be in a different space, and the setting is not the same. That really bruised me, because as a child, I didn't have the wisdom that I have now as a young adult to say that is a lot on his plate. In as much as there was a smartness to some degree, but it never took away the emotional need that, I really want to always be connected to you despite the chaoticness that is happening with everything that is happening in your world. So that bruised me. And I decided I decided silently within myself. I never even shared this with my dad or my foster family or my foster siblings. I decided within myself that I'm not going to be a problem, because how I interpreted it was, I am a burden and I am a problem. I don't know how this came about, if it was sweet nothings that was being whispered by the enemy, but that was how I interpreted with my limited capacity as a child, to say I'm a problem. So moving forward, so that I do not get rejected, because here's this opportunity for me to have shelter and to have people that I can be connected to, is almost like a second chance. And not to say I know how crazy it sounds, but just go with me. So I'm just not going to be a problem. I will just find my corner, I will sit down and mind my business. And I think that my foster parents, my foster families can attest to, I have never been a problematic child. I have never been the child who now is causing conflict. Even when we're playing with other kids, I even seldomly played with other kids. I would just sit in the house. I would wake up, brush my teeth, do my breakfast, watch TV the whole flipping day, and not even like leave. I seldomly left the house. So I was not a child who caused any problems. That's because I think it was a thing of, I don't want to get connected to be disconnected again. So I'm just gonna stay here, do my thing, and that's that. Whew. This drink is tricky for me. It is nice, but then it has this bitter taste. Okay, we're not there, but I have to breathe from time to time because like I said, I'm trying not to get emotional in this video. Um, so that was my new shifting perspective, to say, mm, don't get attached, don't get connected, because if you do, there's gonna be this disconnect, and it's going to be painful. And so that was that for some time, but that never really lasted. That was not a way to live life, because I still wanted closeness and connection. I think it's a need, really, rather than saying I want it, because we all need people that we are going to be connected to, who will show us affection, and who we will show affection, right? And so fast forward, I'm growing a little bit older now. I mean, we are at school, you need to make friends, people want to make friends with you, and it is, it's nice to see that people want to be connected to me after the experience, you know and moving into those friendships, it's like, okay, this setting is different. I cannot say that I will find a corner and mind my own business, because this is a different environment, this is a different space. There is activity that must happen, that is already even going on. There is an exchange that must happen. How do I move into this connection, the friendships? How do I move into this connection, ensuring that I do not disconnect, be abandoned, be rejected, and once again go back to feeling that pain, right? Automatically, without even having to communicate with anybody, in my head, within myself, I'm like, okay, I need to, it's called what? Overcompensate. I need to show a lot of affection through gifts, through speech, through literally any and everything, just to make sure that this person is fully aware and doesn't doubt that I'm for them, and that this is a friendship that I also want, so that they do not leave me someday and I have to go back to my little corner, right? And so I've shared the story of how I've given in friendship, so much so that one time me and my mom had to go to a friend's place to talk about why we were having conflict, never got the answers, and that was that, right? So that is how I moved, and I would be drained, and I would be so much so at a point in my life I was like, maybe I don't need friends. Maybe I don't need friends. And that was that. It was okay for a moment, until again that need comes back to say closeness and connection is very much important. Okay, fast forward, get into romantic relationships. Same old thought patterns that I need to overdo in order for the other person to be certain that I am for them and I can actually help them with their own responsibilities, of which part of it, like really saying that I will help them with their own responsibilities, was a healthy way of looking at it. But I was just excessively doing everything, and maybe that is what maybe pushed people away, I think. Um, but yeah, just overly doing so that I ensure closeness and connection. And that is not the formula for it. And I don't know, the Holy Spirit is reminding me that my life's message ever since um I realized this truth was, do not escape the pain. Do not try to escape the pain, because most of our belief systems and approaches to things is, I don't want to feel pain again. I don't want to be made a fool again. I don't want to, because most of what I've said is, I don't want to feel the pain of losing somebody again. And if I had allowed myself to be detained in that pain, I think maybe I would have found, not maybe, for sure, would have found a better solution. Maybe I would have ended up communicating with my dad to say, you know what, I understand one, two, three, but I really want to be where you are. Even if it's driving with you throughout the whole day and staying in the car to wait for you in your meeting and whatever. I think it would have led to communication, because communication leads to cooperation, and cooperation leads to closeness and connection, right? But I didn't communicate all of that. Remember when I was talking, everything was never communicated to my dad or to my foster parents. It was just decided within myself that this is how I'm gonna move. And I didn't get good counsel to advise me even on that, because it was just an internal thing. And I think that a lot of us do internalize um, how we are going to move, because the experience that bruised us is something that we don't want to go through. But there's something that is so powerful that Sarah said, I don't know if it was in her sermon or one of the interviews, is that you can actually pay the price of losing that person, the price of that pain. Like you have to know that you will outlast the pain. Like that the pain is not the end of things. But what is it that you do with the pain? Do you try and run away from it, or do you confront it? Do you go head on and confront the thing? Allow yourself to feel the pain and cry, because out of the detainment, I really have experienced that there's good outcome rather than the counterproductive behavior that we get into of saying, no, I don't want the relationship. And it takes a little bit of time until you realize, no, actually, I do want friends. I do need friends in my life. It takes a little bit until you realize, shucks, no, my family is important and I need to pay attention to them and I need to forgive them, and there are things that we need to address. So instead of not addressing the things and running away, confrontation, communication, vulnerability, because I think the real fear is being seen as weak. So I don't want to communicate it because it'll look like I am too much. Sometimes we are afraid of, I don't know how I am going to be handled. I am afraid that I might be mishandled or misunderstood if I express this need. But no, that is not true. And if that by any chance does happen, you will just know that I cannot share this part of my life with a specific person. But it's not everyone in your family, it's not everyone in your friendship circle, and it's not really that you will never find a partner who understands and will want to serve and meet your needs. Enough rambling on, guys. I think we've gotten to the bottom of things. It is to find out really, What distorted your shifting perspective? What made you feel that the relationships are not worth it? And by relationships, the first thing that might come to someone's mind is a romantic relationship. Yes, inclusive of that, but most importantly, the relationships you have with your siblings, the relationships you have with your parents, the relationships you have within the family, the relationships you have in your friendships, the relationships you have with your faith family, the brethren in the church, because that is another subject that we are yet to tap into. Okay, but what is key from this conversation is if you can find out what distorted your shifting perspective, you have the problem half solved. And from there, it is now praying the prayer that says, God, I don't want to conform to the standard of the world, but I need you to transform my mind through the renewal of Christ's mind. Let my mind be the mind that says, when I decree and declare a thing, it shall be established. Let my mind be the mind that says, the blessing of the Lord maketh rich and adds no sorrow. Let my mind be the mind that says, even if the weapon is formed, it shall not prosper. Let my mindset, this one is so good to me. Let my mindset be the mindset that says, though he slays me, yet shall I trust in him. Because the reality of things is that it's not that we will never ever experience any type of pain, that when you are in Christ, it's just smooth sailing, just happy, and all rainbows to the end. But you should remember that that is when we are molded into the perfection of God's glory, because he says that he molds us into the perfect vessel for his glory. Where will be the glory if you do not have triumph over trials? Do you understand? That is why I say, do not try and escape the pain, so that you can have the ultimate victory. And that will look like being vulnerable sometimes, and that will look like overly communicating sometimes, and a whole lot of other things. Boundaries should be in place, and communicating that boundary politely, respectfully to the next person without having to harm them. Saying no, being okay with not being liked. Whew, this was a hard one to do, and I feel like I've been all over the place, but I hope that you took something from it, and I will see you guys on my next one. Don't forget to be subscribed. I really wanted to make this one a fun video, but I guess there's just kind of still a lot on what I've shared with you guys that brings my spirit a little bit down. But on another note, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. Bye.